In today's video, we're going to go over 5 money habits that are keeping you poor. Hi everyone, my name is Helen. Welcome to my channel. In today's video, we're going to go over 5 money habits that are actually keeping you poor. The first money habit that's keeping you poor is using debt for everything. Now, we use debt a lot in America for a variety of reasons. We use debt for student loans, to buy cars, to buy houses. We really use debt a lot. And one of the big problems that comes with debt is that you're not able to save your money because now you're paying interest. Now you're paying late fees, you're paying overdraft fees, you're paying all kinds of extra costs that you wouldn't have to pay if you didn't have the debt in the first place. Generally speaking, if you are using debt for anything that is a small purchase, your finances are definitely going to end up in a mess in the future. As a rule, don't use debt if you don't have to. And generally speaking, the way I view it is that if you have to take debt, you probably can't afford what you want to buy. That applies to pretty much everything. Now, in the case of my husband and I, we did have student loans and credit card debt, and we learned this the hard way. We learned that debt, it really is detrimental to your finances. It really makes you anxious. It makes you worried all the time. But once you pay off that debt, the freedom you have, that you've got something lifted off of your shoulders, it just feels amazing to be debt-free. And once we were debt-free, as you can imagine, we didn't want to go into debt anymore. So we never bought anything if we couldn't afford to pay it in cash. That was our general rule, and that's the rule we still live by. We don't take debt if we can't pay for it. And we look at debt as a thing that, yes, it has helped us in the past. It helped us get through college. It helped us win a time when we didn't have any prospects for income, but it also caused a lot of stress and anxiety and worry. And we were worried so much about how are we going to pay this for so many years that once we did pay it off and once we were debt-free after 18 months of working at it, we just said, okay, never again. We will not put ourselves in that situation again. And I can tell you from experience, it is best if you don't take debt at all. But if you do have it, it's time to work on paying it off so that you no longer have to worry about it. The second money habit that's keeping you poor is that you don't have an emergency fund. Now, an emergency fund is just that money you've set aside to make sure that if an emergency happens, let's say you lose a job or you have a medical cost or any kind of situation happens, maybe your car just broke down. You have the money to pay to fix the situation or to pay for medical bills or even just to manage until you can find another job. As a general rule, your emergency fund should be a minimum of 3 months of your living expenses. You do not want to have less than that. And I would generally say at least 6 months is probably better. But before you start thinking about how much you should save, start with 3 months and build it up to 6 months if you have the opportunity. The third habit that is keeping you poor is the buying on up lifestyle. Now, buying on up means that you are inflating your lifestyle as you make more money. We all tend to do this a little bit, but when you have a habit of, I just got a raise and now I'm going to buy a new car, I'm going to buy a bigger house, I'm going to buy that nifty gadget that I was thinking of buying years ago. Now you've got this situation where every time you make more money, you're still broke because you have bought up over time and you've inflated your lifestyle. Now, this isn't something that my husband and I did because we were so determined to pay off our debt. So what we ended up doing was we paid off our debt very aggressively. And then once our debt was paid off, we started seeing income going up and savings going up. And we were like, maybe we should just keep this lifestyle, what we have. So we stayed in the same rental place. We kept our bills as low as we could. And we just watched as our money started just coming in and going into investments. And over time, that meant that we were saving far more than we expected simply by not inflating our lifestyle. We kept the same frugality. And then the benefit was that after about 8 years, we were millionaires. We did not expect that at first, but When you start saving that much money because now you have no debt and you haven't inflated your lifestyle, you end up seeing that you are building wealth far faster than you anticipated. The fourth way that you are staying poor because of your money habits is actually not taking advantage of tax breaks. Now, when you become wealthy, you recognize that tax breaks play a critical role in really just building up your wealth. We all have to pay taxes. As a general rule in the United States, we are paying roughly about 1/3 of our income to taxes, or maybe even more depending on what state you live in and what other taxes you may have to pay that are additional to your federal taxes. But for most of us, it's going to be around 1/3. Now, there are ways that you can reduce your tax burden by simply making small adjustments to your lifestyle. Now, the most obvious and easy way to do that is to open different retirement accounts. I've spoken about this in other videos, but retirement accounts are really helpful when it comes to taxes. In the United States, a 401k that you get through an employer is a tax deferred account. That means you don't pay taxes on the money that you put in this year. You pay on it later when you start to withdraw. So it really helps with saving on taxes because you're not paying the full amount of what you make. You're paying what you make after putting into the 401k. So if you max out your 401k, you're reducing your tax burden, maybe by an entire tax bracket. The other thing you can do is open an IRA, which will also help with your taxes. Now, you do have other options like a health savings account, but that does have a lot of qualifying factors, so you'll have to look into whether or not that will work in your life, but you can look into other options to reduce your tax burden. The fifth money habit that is keeping you poor is that you're not investing. Now, when it comes to building up wealth, you need to be putting your money into something. You can invest in a lot of different ways. You can invest in the stock market, you can invest in bonds, you can invest in real estate. There's a lot of options out there for you to invest in. However, if you're not investing at all, you're not able to take advantage of the opportunities that are afforded to you. So instead of getting to a point where you're worried about, oh, how am I going to manage my money? What do I do with all this money in my savings? You should be investing throughout every step of the way. Putting money aside after an emergency fund into an investment each month means that you are dollar cost averaging. So the amount that you're paying on your investments is reduced over time. You end up paying a moderate amount rather than a high amount. And you're also getting the advantage of seeing your wealth building over time and getting compound interest, which helps you reach your financial goals. That's it for today's video. If you liked the video, do subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.